All right. So maybe, Mr. Ho, can you actually do a little simple introduction? We want to know more about you, like, a little bit about yourself and education, teaching experience, and what makes you different from the rest of the tutors. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Jasline. Yeah. Hello, parents. I'm Mr. Howard Yu. So actually, I started as a teacher, like most teachers do in Singapore, through my training in NIE. And then subsequently, I was posted to a school which has a very high standard because it's a SAP school, those schools that actually groom students to go to the GEP or even the mainstream, but they score better marks. So I was actually doing the science program. As a science learner myself, I find a passion to instill in young minds the love of science. Because as you know, in Singapore, right, science only starts at primary 3 level. Yeah, but the students are actually exposed to science in their daily lives, even from P1 to P2. So when I first was assigned to teach a P3 class, I feel quite excited because during those periods, we can bring students for field trips. So science is not about just learning from textbook, but also more importantly, as the saying goes, 行万里路，胜读万卷书.
Correct.
So it means like by traveling, you actually learn better than from the books. So that's why I want to instill in children by bringing them to the zoo, to the bird park, to the science center. And in fact, I was in charge in planning the whole school's science excursion from P3 to P6.
Oh,
to the mega school with more than 2,000 students.
Wow.
Yeah. So beside that, I was also tasked to set exam paper, from P3 onwards. And then also as I gained my experience and also the trust from the school leaders, they sent me to mark the PSLE Section B for 3 consecutive years. Yeah, in fact, actually, for PSLE, the 4 main subjects are science, mathematics, Chinese, or mother tongue plus English. But not many parents are aware that actually the science section B is the most difficult paper to mark for the whole PSLE marking exercise.
Yep. Correct.
Yeah, because in section B there are many variety of answers.
Yes.
And usually this is what we do as a science section B marker. On the first day, we will be briefed about all the questions in section B. We were given an answer sheet with all possible answers. But definitely some students are smarter than teachers. They may thought of answer that we didn't think of. Yeah.
I see. Yes.
Yeah.
So
in fact, actually, for parents who are out there, maybe you have your first child taking PSLE, right? So not to worry. For science paper, each question is marked by 2 teachers. Yes, for example, this question is 2 marks, right?
Yes.
I'm the first marker. I would mark in red color. So let's say out of 2 marks, this child get 1.5. But the other second marker, they mark in green pen. The second marker gave 2 marks. I give 1.5. So this question will be sent to the higher level. Maybe they call the presiding examiner to have a 3rd marking, because the marks doesn't tally. Yeah. So that's why the marking science paper is quite challenging. And actually we learn a lot as a marker. Even as a teacher there, we mark, but we actually understand how this child think through this process. And science paper is not an English paper, so we do not mark for mistake in grammar, as long as the concept is being conveyed clearly. So that's a good news for parents, because I believe that most schools will ask the child to write in complete sentences, but that is actually not necessary, because for science section B, as long as you can give even point form, but your point form expresses the concepts that is being tested, so your child can get a full marks. So I think this is good news, even for those children who are maybe not so good in languages. They won't be at disadvantage, because as long as they understand, they can convey the concept in simple English, they will get the marks.
I see. Thank you for sharing. Yes, I think we have a lot of students out there who are not very proficient in English.
Yeah.
But I always encourage them to write like important keywords as well as please read what you're writing. I think that's my key point because I'm a study coach, so I understand that not only are good in technical, but there are things that children are not taking note, and then they are losing marks. And one of them is actually they write what they want to write, but it's not what the question wants. Do you agree with that?
Okay, yeah, I give you one example. Yeah, because in PSLE marking, I can give you a few examples through a slide here, which I prepared earlier. Let me retrieve the slide. Okay, most students they lose the mark to the explain the concept. So I do a screen sharing here. Okay, if you can see in this slide here.
Yes, you can see that. Yeah.
You can see the slide here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can.
So you have describe, you have explain. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So usually most students they lost mark in this part. The explain. I put in Chinese word 解释.
Or why? The question is why.
So when they are requested to explain, the child or the candidate, they must give reason or make something clear and simple to understand. Okay, it is not enough to just give keywords. So for example, like the process they're testing on condensation, right? Condensation is very easy because you see I'm wearing spectacle, right? Sometimes when you drink coffee, this part will fogged up, right? Yeah, because the hot water vapor loses heat, okay, to the cooler surface of the spectacle and condense to form water vapor or water droplets. So if they say the condensation has happened on the glass, they won't get the marks if the question is for explain.
They never talk about losing heat.
Yeah,
right?
they didn't talk about the losing heat.
Yeah.
So that one they required explanation.
And it's not only one time you said that your child is going to get it. Okay, I will tell you in my experience is that it has to be repeated, and really drive into them. So this is where our expertise comes in to help your children to actually get better grades in science. And this is important. Like today, our topic is really about starting young. Okay, So and then. Yeah, it's very important. We cannot think that PSLE is just like primary 5, I can do it, okay? It's not that way. So it's also really educational that I want more parents to know that as early as you can, get them involved in science, especially from P4 onwards, because they will be having the topics that they're going to get later on. Yeah, all this we are going to. So Mr. Howard, we are going to actually explain all this on Sunday, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So please, we'll have this. We have this wonderful time on Sunday 9:30 that we want to actually share even more about how we can make use of the all the resources, whether it's me who giving tips, or Mr. Yu about the techniques of answering, and we are going to get all the value there. So important is keep this Sunday 9:30 free. Yes. Okay. So. Yes, what are you different from the rest is you have told us that you are a PSLE marker, so you understand how the children think and how the markers think, right? So that's very good. And what else that I want to ask is this. Okay. And you have an international experience, right? As a HOD science in a world-class international school. So what makes you different from the rest of the other science tutors? So with that, how do you think that you are different then? Yeah.
Okay, because as you know, in order to inspire the child to like science, you must first be able to know what the child likes first. So usually I will ask the child what the child like, because usually around us we got child who love about like electrical system, some love animals, some love plants. I mean for young age, I'm talking about primary school child. So these are some of them they love toys. Okay, they love toys. Some of them they like to draw. So drawing actually is one way, because usually most of the time Singapore testing is writing in the character form. But sometimes the child actually learns better if they are mind mapping. Or maybe you ask them to draw the human circulatory system. They learn better through drawing. And sometimes you know that also in the topic of pollination, fertilization. So sometimes the child, if you expose them to photographs, right? They may have photographic memory.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think I certainly agree with that, because as a study coach, I teach mind maps. And
the other thing is I just share with you some topics which are linked to the teaching of science. Hold on first. Let me exit this. Okay, so as you know, for PSLE, right, for parents, maybe it's good to know that the child is tested content from P3 to P6. Correct. So I just do a screen share on this the topic here. If you can see here, this screen.
Yes.
Okay, as you can see,
all right.
These are basically the lower primary topics. Okay, the lower primary topics. So this is something very interesting. What I can
quite a lot,
Yeah, quite a lot. Actually, for lower primaries, it's actually just like on the surface. They don't go very deep. They want to have a wide spectrum of this. So like animals, plants, fungi, microorganisms. These are living things. Then they learn about actually this thing material, called material science. So actually, as a young learner, to stimulate them, you can actually ask them questions. Like for example, many of them have experienced swimming, right? So some of them they may not know how to swim, so they have to use a float, right? So you ask them, hey, the float, what material is it used for, and what are the characteristics of this material? What must it have? Yeah.
Correct. So I think you got this point about exposing them to questions, and then like you said, characteristics. I tell you, not many children actually get it. Okay, so it has to be like properties. Like I have this experience really. Like let's talk about solids, liquids, and gases, right? Yeah, we have to draw many times. Then we'll talk about properties. Then they still have to think. Then they will give you an answer that is not one of the properties. So really must start early. And these are really a lot of topics. And I have P6 students that didn't remember to study the P3 topics.
Yeah,
because
so
there's
I
too
like
much.
to say, yes. Okay, even for parents out there, maybe your child is already in P6 or P5. Sometimes the parent asks me this question, is it, Mr. Yu, how come my child P6 already still not performing well? Okay, usually the most common problem that I find is because the foundation here, the 3 and 4 is not strong.
Absolutely.
So the parent asks me, what are the reasons? I say, number one, maybe when the child was learning, the science content was not taught well in the school. Yeah. Secondly, you see like, actually P4, right, there are two important topics, heat and matter and its 3 states. In fact, because I have analyzed the past year's PSLE exam questions,
yes, they do come out.
As many as 10% of the marks, right, comes from heat topic. 10%. Yeah.
Yes.
And then maybe like 6 to 7% comes from matter and its 3 state. So usually children who are at P6, because just recently, as you know, this week I got many inquiries. Today itself, I got 3 parents from P6 asking me for intensive classes. So I asked them, how is your child performing? So usually those that don't perform well, they are weaker because the foundation in 5 and 4 are weak.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely
correct. How this affect PSLE is actually something very similar. I mean, something very common. I just like to share with parents. But if you want to learn more, I would encourage you to join us this Sunday, because correct. Due to the time constraint during this interview, yes. I will not share so much. So I hope that you can come on Sunday to learn more about why your child in P5 or P6 is still weaker in this, and how this P4 weakness will affect your PSLE or P5 result.
Absolutely right, because I also teach the primary 3 and primary 4. Yeah, so I would like to share the last one of my slides to actually remind everybody. We really want to help everyone to really know what the topic today is. Really start early, okay? Don't wait until P5, and then I tell you P5 results are not rosy. Okay? They are not rosy. Okay, and most of my students start from P5 to come to get help from me because their children don't study. And they have really no choice. They can't get across to them. So that's why I coach a lot of students in those the weaker ones, which the first foundation is weak. Okay, second is that they found that no confidence. That's why they don't want to do anything to do with science anymore because they can't do well anyway. So this coming Sunday, right, 22nd May, 9:30. Okay, Sunday night. So that's why we choose this time so everybody will be like away from the important stuff, and we'll be live on our Facebook pages that you see right now. And then really we want to help parents. Okay, I'll be giving tips, okay. Mr. Howard shared his teachings. Okay, understanding questions is so important. Answering using key scientific concepts is so important. And the mistakes made by students time and time again, right, Mr. Howard, is that we say once, they never get it. They do it again. Then the exam come, they also do it wrongly, correct or not? So these are very costly mistakes, so we want to remind. And hopefully really helping the PSLE student as well as those, your children are in P3, P4, to really understand how important. So I will also share how parents can help in this science journey, because it really takes the parent and the child to work this out together. Because I myself have brought my son to Science Center many times, okay, buy magazines, okay, read with them. So these are things that we need to do, because they wouldn't have interest if you do not have interest, okay. So important. I really want to inspire, like parents, that you can do a little bit every single week, okay. Again, not single day, but every week, to help a child get better science results, okay, get the interest, whether they like animals, they like magnets, whatever, but we need to help them, right? And what are the tools and channels that we, both of us, can tell you to help your child to get the grades that they deserve, right? So please, take this down in the calendar, take a snapshot, important. We will see you on Sunday, okay? Thank you, Mr. Howard. It's great having you. Okay, see you on Sunday, everyone. Bye-bye.